everybody. Welcome to my live. How's everybody today? I'm excited about the cards I have to show you. Has anybody been thinking about summer? Has anybody been thinking about the beach? I know I have. So I've got some really fun, kind of beachy, tropical, fun cards to show you tonight. So I'm kind of excited about that. We'll wait a minute to see if I'm coming up on Facebook. There's a little bit of a delay, so I'm just waiting for my iPad, and I think I am there. And make sure my volume's off. Okay. Well, for those of you first joining me, my name is Laura Rodrick. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator in San Antonio, Texas. And today is Tuesday, and it's May 24th, 2022. So thank you for joining me either live on Facebook or watching the recording or watching on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, please hit the little red subscribe bell so you don't miss any videos from me, and give me a like. That'd be amazing if you could do that. All right, well, I think we're ready to get started. So I'm going to turn my camera down and we'll get making some fun cards. All right, I think that's pretty good. Let me just move my chair up now. All right, so the cards that we're gonna make tonight, I'm using a bunch of different things because there's a lot of really cute sets in this. So we're working out of the mini catalog, and this goes through the end of June. You can see mine starting to look kind of beat up because I have gone through it a million times. So let me just show you some of the things we're gonna be working with. We're gonna be working with this Paradise Palm set. Who doesn't love palm trees? And we're going to be working with this oceanfront set, and these are really awesome stamps. Wait till you see what they do. It's so easy. I love it. We're also going to be working with the On the Horizon set with these papers that we've used before. And let me just show you kind of some of the samples in the catalog here. You don't have to do any backgrounds because the backgrounds are already the paper, which is super easy and fun to do. And then lastly, we're going to use this Let's Set Sail bundle, which is great because you have the stamps for sailboats, and then you have a punch, which is super fun to play with. All right, so these are the cards that we're going to make today. So we're going to make this cute little scenic card. Then we're going to make the sunset card with pretty much the same scene, only we're going to make it into a pretty sunset. We're going to do a tropical palm tree card. And lastly, we're going to use the sailboat set that I was talking about to make a really cute little sailboat summery card. So let's get started. This is the oceanfront stamp set that I was just telling you about. So we're going to use a lot of stamps from here. We're also going to use from the Paradise Palms some of the palm tree stamps and some of these really pretty font, right, for these sentiments. I'm going to use stitched rectangle dies today like I do pretty much every week because they're just perfect. Here is the die set for the palm trees, and a lot of the dies I already have out because we're going to be using them to do some die cutting, but I'm not using the big palm tree, but I have some smaller palm trees. I'm using this little pattern set, which just reminds me of Hawaii, and this little grass set here. And we're going to be using the On the Horizon dies because, again, nice sentiments, some little birds, some little grasses, a little driftwood. So this is all very, very beachy and fun. So let's get out the things for our first card. Okay. All right. So we're starting with a crumb cake card base. Super easy, 8.5, 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. All right, just like that. Let me put my right card out. So I first made this card a long time ago, right? And let me show you the first one that I did. So I made this card, and I used the sailboat. Well, this sailboat has since retired since we got the new annual catalog, the sailboat set. So I was kind of bummed because I really like the sailboat in there. So I thought, what are we going to do different? And I decided, well, let's just put palm trees in the foreground then instead. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we're going to do some stamping. So this is going to be for the inside. I'm going to put that aside for now. We've got a couple of layers. So I've got a balmy blue layer with the stitched rectangles, and then this basic white layer, and this is what we're going to stamp on to start with. And then I also have just a scrap of basic white that we're going to do the palm trees on. So let me just get a little scrap to put behind my stamping in case I'm messy. We're going to start with the balmy blue, and we're going to start at the top and do the sky first. And like I said, these stamps are easy and super fun, and it almost looks like you're watercoloring when you put them on. So I'm going to do this one this way, and I'm just going to ink it up in the balmy blue. There's so many stamps being used today. I used up all my blocks, so I've got stamps on all my blocks. So I'm going to put this kind of near the top and just press it down really good. And ta-da, we've got sky. Yay! All right, the next thing we're going to do is water. And, you know, Stampin' Up has so many different colors of blue, so many different shades. You could use any shade that you wanted to. For the water, I went with like a little bit of a greener shade. This is the Coastal Cabana. And this stamp then is for the water. So I'm going to ink that up really well and put that right below our sky. And I've got my stamp on an angle, so it's kind of messing with me right now. So let me see how I want to put this. I guess I'm just going to line up the straight lines and press that down really good. And now we've got water. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is add some sand. And I'm going to do that in Crumb Cake, which is the same color card base that we're using. So we'll get that out. And then this is our little islandy piece of sand here, right? So I'm just going to ink that up in the Crumb Cake, and we'll just kind of put this right along here. And that's pretty much the background for our scene. Let me move this up so I make sure that y'all can see it well enough. And that's it. We've got our sand, our little beach. We put in the beach. Now, as you can see, I got a little bit of blue there, so we're going to work on getting that off. I can probably, if that's dry already, I'm just going to take my little sand eraser and try and lighten it up by erasing it off a little bit. And then we can always cover it up with a rock or something. I've got some really fun enamel shapes. Sorry, I know I'm shaking the camera while I'm doing this, but that's pretty good. I think we got it mostly off. Okay, so what else do we want to stamp? We want to do our birds, and we're going to do those in Memento. Just some little black birds for the background. And hold on, I got lots of birds over here. I'm going to use this one here. And I think I don't want, there's too many. See how it's so big? There's just too many. I just want some over here. So I'm just going to take some Post-it tape and tape off a couple of them because I don't want to use the whole stamp, right? So let me see which way I want them. That looks good. And I pretty much only need the 4, so I'm going to take the top 3 and just put a little Post-it tape over it. All right, then I'm going to ink the rest up. Remember to pull my Post-it tape off, and then I'm just going to put my birds right up here. Perfect. All right, let's put our sentiment, our thinking of you, across the bottom. And we'll do that in the Memento as well. So our sentiment is set. Now what else do we want to do in the Memento? We're doing a little bit on the inside, so let me get out that piece of white that I put aside. And we're going to do on the inside, relax and enjoy your day. And we'll do that in the black too. Okay, so that's part of the inside. Put that aside for now. All right, now the other piece that we have to stamp is our palm trees. There's a couple of ways you can do this. This is the palm tree stamp right here. And obviously we want to have the palm fronds a different color than the trunks, right? So You could either do the taping off again, or what I'm going to do is just use the Stampin' Right markers. So I have a soft suede marker that I'm just going to color the stems with. And I'm just going to color that right in with the marker. You can see I'm being a little bit messy going off the edge, but it doesn't really matter. It's only going to stamp the top of it. All right, I'm going to touch that up, so I'm going to leave it open for a second. And then I have Mossy Meadow that I'm going to do the top of the palm trees with, so I'm just adding my marker and just coloring the tops like that. Takes just a minute to do it. Takes a little bit longer than just putting some ink on it on the stamp pad, right? But that's okay, it'll be worth it. All right, now I want to make sure they're nice and wet. And that looks pretty good. I think I got everything covered. I'm just going to go over the trunk just one more time. And then I'm going to huff on it to make sure that it's still kind of moist before I stamp it. And let's see how that comes out. All right, what do you think? Pretty good, right? That came out well. All right, so we're going to let that dry for a minute, then we're going to cut it out. And there's a die for that. All right, last little bit of stamping. We want to use some of the little grass stamps, and we're going to do those in Mossy Meadow. So I'm going to do 2 of those. So I have the cute little one I'm going to put at the bottom right here. And then I'm going to do the bigger one on the inside of the card. And then I think we're going to be done stamping for this card. You know which? I want this one. Pull this off. And we'll just put this across the bottom of the inside. Just like that. Okay, the inside's done. We'll set that aside. We need to do our die cutting now. This part's almost finished and ready to be put together. We've got to cut this out. It comes with dies, which is super, super handy. So we're just going to set up our dies and cut that out. So I'm going to pull up my big die cutting machine because that's the one that I have handy. And I'll show you the new magnetic plate. So for the magnetic plate, I need a 1, a 5, and a 3. Here's a 1, a 3, and this is the 5. So let me put this here. And then I'll put one over top. So this magnetic plate is awesome because now I don't have to use my Post-it tape. I can just line it up and it's going to stay there. So I think that looks pretty good. Put the top plate on and we will roll it through. Nice and easy. Okay, and as you can see, that cut that out really nicely. So now we have palm trees. Put my toy away and that. And I think we're ready to start assembling the front of our card. So I'm going to take a little bit of glue, and you could use the Tombow glue. You could use, if you wanted to pop it up, I'm not going to pop it up. I'm just going to use a little bit of this glue pen that I like to use. This is the one that I get on Amazon because I feel like it's really good for little small pieces. So I'm going to flip that over, put it right on the beach, and hold it down for a minute. Okay. We will add layers. Now, I think what I did is just attached this with some Stampin' Seal. So let me just run some seal along the bottom here. And then we'll pop up this whole blue layer onto our crumb cake base. So we'll do that. Let's also adhere the inside while I have my seal right here. Okay. And we'll get some dimensionals. How's everybody's weather been? We've had a little bit of rain the last couple days, very little rain, but it's been kind of cloudy, but boy, has it been hot here. And looking ahead to the forecast, it's still going to be hot, which is crazy that we're this hot this time of year. I know we broke some records last week when we hit a couple 100 days, and that's not like us this early in the year. Okay, so that's it. Now I have these really fun embellishments. And these are the Pebbles enamel shapes, and they're just really glossy, shiny little embellishments that look like rocks, which is just perfect for the beach. So let me get my tool and pull some of these up, and we'll just put a bunch of these. I kind of like, because it looks like beach, this beachy colored ones. So I'm just going to put some of those right at the base of the palm trees. I found that these are a little bit harder to get up than like the rhinestones. So I got to work at it a little bit to get these off of here. Maybe another, this big one. And one here. And then just one off to the side over here. Okay. That is our first card. What do you guys think? Looks like the beach, right? And pretty easy with those stamps. Those stamps make it really easy. It almost looks like it's watercolor, right? Very sneaky, but it's not. Okay, I hope you like that first card. The next card we're going to make is basically close to being the same card, except we're going to do it in a sunset. So let me put some of my toys away, and we'll get out the next one. Okay, and what we're going to add is this little die set, and this is called the Horizon dies, and I like it because it has this little fence in here, so we're going to, I die cut one of those little fence pieces that we're going to use in there. I like the sunset-y colors on this one. Here's that little fence piece that I was telling you about, and let me get... We're going to use this little piece for some stamping, and then these are just going to be our layers of the card, okay? This is the one that we're going to stamp on, so let me put these other things aside from now, and we'll get stamping on this. All right. So the first one we want to do is the sky, and I need to clean off my stamp. So... I'm just going to rub this on here and get it nice and cleaned off. It looks pretty good, and I might as well, the water will be the same, so I don't need to clean that one. Okay, so the color I'm going to use for the sky, I'm going to use two colors. I'm going to use Mango Melody and Calypso Coral. So we will start with the Mango Melody, and I'm going to ink this up, and I want it to go this way. So I'm going to get that nice and inked up with the Mango Melody, and this is going to be the top. So let me put it this way. This is going to be the bottom here. So what I'm going to do now is take my Calypso Coral, and I have a little sponge dauber, and I'm just going to take this little sponge dauber and just dab the ink and just kind of dab on the bottom, okay, to make that kind of variegated color for the sunset, make it a little darker orange near the bottom. And as I get towards the very bottom, I'm going to add even another layer down here to get it pretty orangey at the bottom. Okay, I think we're ready to stamp that. So I'm going to just huff on it again to make sure. And we'll put this right towards the top. Okay, not bad, right? Kind of sunset-y. Okay, so the next thing, while I've got the Calypso Coral out, is I want to do a little sun in the background for the sunset, and they give you this stamp, which is really nice. So I'm just going to put my sun right over here in Calypso Coral. All right, now we're ready to move on to our other layers. So I'm going to use Coastal Cabana for the water again. Isn't that a pretty shade? I think Coastal Cabana is such a pretty color. So we'll ink that up again. Don't these stamps make it easy to do this? They're just so nice. It's one of my favorite sets. Of course, I like anything beachy and palm trees. And okay, that's the water. And we're going to put some sand again. So I need my crumb cake again for the sand. And we'll put that right about here. Now, another really cool stamp that they in this set is this little one that looks like sand pebbles. So I'm just going to dab this on the crumb cake and just kind of add some sand coming off the bottom of the beach. Just all along the edge there. So it looks kind of sandy and cool. Okay. All right, now we've got some real sand. Okay, let's add birds again. So where are my birds? This time we'll use the whole stamp set for the birds. All right, give me 1 second because I misplaced my birds. I can never tell if the birds are right side up or upside down. It's a little hard to tell. All right, get this out of the way. And we're going to have them go right across into the sun in the background. Okay, there's our birds. Okay, let's do the sentiment. So I've got that little driftwood stamp. And let me make sure that I pulled that one out. I did. Okay. So that's this one right here. And I'm going to stamp that in crumb cake on the little piece of crumb cake. And this is more than we need, this big piece of driftwood looking. But we're just going to stamp that right on here. All right, and then we'll just stamp the sentiment over it in the black. Wishing you so much happiness. And let's see. Do you want to go near the top or the bottom? I think we'll go near the bottom. Just like that. I might have got that a little bit crooked. I think it's okay. I think that's fine. All right. Now there is a die for the driftwood, but it cuts out the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is just kind of fussy cut around the part that I want. And then I'm going to cut it kind of straight across because I don't want the whole thing. So I'm just going to cut it off right about here. And then we'll go back out to the edge here. And it's an easy cut. It only takes a second to cut it out. So, and then we've got our little sentiment on a piece of driftwood, which I think looks kind of nice for the bottom. Okay. So what else do we need? We need some of those mossy meadow grasses again. So let's put a couple of those on. And we're going to put this one right here. And then we'll take that little one again in the same spot. It's going to end up going behind the fence. So that one's going to go like that. And I think we're ready to start assembling. So we're going to take our layers. And for this one, I didn't really pop any of the layers up. So it's just layer on layer on layer. So we'll start with this Coastal Cabana layer. And put it on top of the same crumb cake card base that we used on the last card. Okay, and then we're going to take some Mango Melody and do the next layer. Right like that. It's almost picture framey, right? So we're kind of putting our little piece of magical stamped artwork right in a little frame, which I think looks really good with these colors. Okay, that was easy, right? So we're gonna put our sentiment on the bottom, and I'm just gonna put some seal across the top of it. So it goes like right about there. And then we're gonna pop up our little fence piece, and we need some really, because these are really skinny, some really tiny dimensionals. So I think even the little dimensionals are still not small enough. So I'm just going to take a little bit and cut some little strips from this dimensional sheet, and we'll just put some of these on there. Probably only need one on each side. So we'll put one across here, and I'll put another one on the other side. I'll put it like right around this one right here. Okay, let's take these papers off. And this one's just a little bit long. I'm just going to cut it off a little bit so it's not showing. All right, and we'll just position our fence piece right about here on the edge. All right, let's add some more of those pebbles, and then we'll be done with this card. Let's mix it up this time. We'll put some of the gray and some of these little sandy colored ones. See what it's doing to my gummy stuff on my thing? I'm almost better off just using maybe a pair of scissors to pick them up or something. I'm not sure. But the good news is they're super sticky, so they're gonna stick where you put them. They're not gonna come off, which is nice. Okay, and one more. Let's get one of these little gray ones over here. These are fun. So everything in this catalog is retiring at the end of June. So now's a good time to get some of these before they're gone. I'm stocking up on the pebbles because I've never seen anything like that in the stores, these little enamel pebbles, and I'm sure in the future I'm going to be making more beach cards. So this is our second card, wishing you so much happiness. Obviously you could put happy birthday or thank you or any kind of sentiment that you want on the bottom. Make it any kind of card that you want. So that is our Sunset Beachy card. All right, the next card, we're moving along pretty good here, I think. The next card that we're going to make is going to be the one with the palm trees. So we've used this designer series paper before, and this is super fun because it has all the background shapes, and you can see I've cut up a whole bunch of it. It's the New Horizons designer series paper, and this is the sheet that I used from it. They're 6x6 sheets, and as you can see, I just cut a piece out for our background. Okay, so pick any background that you like, and you can cut that out. And the dimensions on that, I didn't really put the dimensions, but I can measure real quick just to let you know what the dimensions are on this. I didn't put it on my sheet either. So it looks like it is 2 7/8 by 5 1 2/3. So it's just gonna go right down the middle. All right, so here are our pieces. I've already done some of the die cutting for us. We're going to start with a thick basic white card base in the same size that we've used for the other ones. Okay, and then I've done some die cutting with that die that I said kind of looks like Hawaii, right? I don't know why it looks like a Hawaiian pattern to me. It's super fun. We're going to use just a piece of basic white to do our stamping on. This is the piece that I die cut out of the DSP that's going to go right in the middle here. And then I also, and that's Evening Evergreen that I cut that out of. And then I also die cut the little die that looks like a little bit of grass for the bottom where our palm trees are going to be. So I think first let's do the palm trees. So the stamps for the palm trees, I have 2 different palm frond stamps. And then there's 2 different of the trunks. Okay, so I just put these randomly on here. It doesn't matter because we're going to cut them out. Okay, and do I want these in crumb cake? I pulled crumb cake, but I think I want them in soft suede. So let's do these in soft suede. might need another little scrap of white. I don't know if I have enough room here, but we'll see. Let's put our, this seems kind of weird to cut it out like this, but I'm gonna put our stems diagonal. See if this works. And then I'll use the Mossy Meadow again for the tops of the palm trees. And these are all going to be cut out so they can just randomly go anywhere. Put one there, and we'll put one there. So that's it. We're ready to die cut these now. So let me get my machine out again. And we'll practice some more with our magnetic plates. All right, let me set this up. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm just gonna set up my sheet and then get out my dies, which are kind of all over the place here. So pardon my reach while I pull these out. Now what they did with the trunks I think is brilliant, because they put these little circles at the end so you have something to glue the top of your palm tree onto. So I'm going to set this one right here, and this one goes like that, a little bit down more, and then let's see, I think this one goes here. Let me just get it lined up perfectly. It's a little more hard, it's harder to do when you're not totally like right on top of it looking down on it. Okay, I think those are all in pretty good position. So we'll put on our top plate and just run that through, if I can do it without moving anything. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, put those aside. All right, now we have palm trees. So we can start assembling. The other thing that I need to stamp is going to be our sentiment, and we're going to stamp that at the top of our DSP. So the one I picked for that is wishing you a warm and beachy kind of day. And I think for that, I'm actually going to use Evening Evergreen, which is the same color as these other little things that we've cut out. So let me get that inked up. And I'm just going to put this right across the top here, just like that. And we're ready to put our card together. So I'm going to decide, do I want to put this first or do I want to put the sides first? I think I'm going to put the sides first. So I'm going to get these. Again, I'm going to have to use, I don't have to, but I want to use my glue pen. And first, let me make sure I've got all these little pieces popped out from the die cut, because we want it to show through white. I should have done this ahead of time. But it only takes a second just to pop these out. And I'm just using the other side of my take your pick tool, my little pointy end here, to pop those out. So that looks pretty good. And we'll do the other one. Sometimes they just fall right out. Other times you just have to give them a little nudge, and then they just, as you can see, they're just falling out right onto the paper. Or there's also another part of the tool that's on the other side of this, which, oh, actually I don't have mine. I have it somewhere, but it's kind of the brush side, so you can just brush through, and these will just, that'll help pop it out too. But for me, it's just easier just to pop them individually like that. Okay, I think we got them all. All right, so let me get these little pieces out of the way. And we're ready to start gluing. You can see the glue goes on nice and easy. You can see it. And then I'm just getting the extra on my piece of scrap paper. The other thing you can use, which I like to use, is the little silicone mat, because then you don't have to waste paper. You can just glue it and then just rub the glue off later. So that's super handy to have too. But I've already got a scrap paper out, so that's what we'll use. So I'm just going to put this right along, just to leave a little bit of edge border right here, and kind of press that down for a second so it sticks well. And then we'll do the other one. Anybody have any great plans? We got a 3-day coming up. Can't wait. Very excited. Anybody going somewhere? Going to the beach? Doing anything fun on the 3-day? Or just using it to just relax? Take a break, right? So we'll line this up along the other side like that. And we'll let that set for a second with the glue. Hopefully you can see that. All right, so this is just going to go centered right between. And we'll use our seal on the back of that. Hey, if you pop on either now or if you pop on later, say hello. Okay, so I'm going to glue the tops of the trees. I'm going to turn this inside out since I got glue all over it, to the trunks. And for this, I'm going to use a little bit of the Tombow glue. So I'm just going to put a dot on each of these little round circles that it conveniently gave to us. The other fun thing that I didn't do is there's also, in the stamp set, you could stamp little coconuts to go right at the base of the tree also. So that's pretty fun. I did not do that. Okay, so we're going to pop our palm trees up on the card, and that's going to dry for a minute. So I'm going to start with the big dimensionals where I can put them. So I'll put one there and help hold that on in the meantime. And then let's see, will the small dimensionals fit on here without showing? Or are we going to cut again? Let's just do a little bit more cutting. Just going to cut some strips. And these are curved, so I might have to cut them into a couple pieces. So I'll put one here and put the other one here. I like the way it looks popped up. That's why I'm going to the trouble of doing a little cutting of this foam, because I think they look nice popped up like that. Okay, let's take all our papers off. Uh-oh, puppy's barking in the background. Okay, well, let's see, how do we want these to go? I think we're doing the taller one. We'll do the straighter one here and the taller one. So we'll put this one maybe right here. And this one right here. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to actually separate them a little bit because I don't want them to be popped up too high. They'll be double popped up if they're like right next to each other. Okay, then we'll put our little grassy area. And I can put a big one right here, and then I know I can fit a couple little ones on the sides. So we use the little mini dimensionals here, and we'll pop this one up. And we've got a little grass in the foreground. All right, card number 3, wishing you a warm and beachy kind of day. Looks pretty good with the sunset in the background, right? we've got a little theme going on here, a little summer vibes theme. Okay, let's dive into our last card. And this is going to be the one we're going to do with the sailboat. This is fun. It's, you know, I missed that other set that they had. Of course, I have it forever, so I can always play with it, with the sailboats, because I love sailboats, right? It just reminds me of summer. They're so beautiful. My dad used to have a sailboat. Lots of fun. Used to enjoy going sailing. This is the first card I did like that. And I didn't really like it that much. I didn't like the color of the sails. I was kind of trying to go with nautical colors, and I had the ocean on the whole thing, and it just was too plain here, so I needed something else. So I kind of changed it up a little bit and came up with it like this. So let me get out the pieces for that. So the things we're going to add to it is I've got this Gentle Waves stamp, and this is just a huge rectangular stamp that kind of stamps the waves on, gives us our nice little water background. I also use these layering diorama dies. So I use that to cut out just our little cutout right here that we're going to frame around our sailboat. And then this is the bundle is Let's Set Sail. So it's got some water here. It's got a little shadow in the water for the sailboat that we're going to use, some more birds, some fun sentiments. And then this is the punch that goes with it that cuts the sailboat out. So let us pull out our pieces. All right, now as you can see on this white piece, this is just a piece of basic white cardstock. And I've already used the die to cut this out, right? But we're going to add a little interest to it, and we're going to emboss to make it not so plain on the white side, okay? So anyway, we're starting with a piece of Pacific Point. That's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. This one's going to go this way. And then I have your 5 1/4 by 4-inch basic white that we're going to put on the inside of the card. So we'll set that aside for now. And we're going to do our die cutting on here. And then we're going to put our sentiment on the label like that. And this is going to be our background that's going to go behind our card. So let's start by stamping this first. And I'm going to stamp that in Pacific Point also. So let me get my stamp pad out. And because it's a really large stamp, I'm going to use my Stamparatus. So I've got that set up here. You can see I've been using it, right? So I'm going to put it, my piece right about here, I think. And then I didn't stamp up the whole thing. I'm just, let me see, can y'all see that? Hopefully you can see where it is. I only stamped the bottom half of this. So I'm just going to take my stamp pad and let me move this to the side a little bit because, and let me put, hold on. Just going to grab this without falling out of my chair. For just a little support, I'm just going to put the set behind there. And I'm just going to take my Pacific Point and just ink up the bottom half of this Waves stamp. And I want to make sure I get it pretty good. The nice thing about the Stamparatus is if I mess this up or it doesn't stamp well, it's going to be in the same spot. So I can see where I put my paper. So let's just bring this over. Make sure this is flat. Now you can just use your hand to kind of stamp it. I also sometimes cheat, and I have this just little eraser that just kind of applies even pressures, and it has some felt on the back, so I like to use that with my Stamparatus when I use bigger stamps or even the smaller stamps to get a nice even pressure. Let's see how that came out. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So we're just going to use that like that for our background. Let me put this little guy away. All right, so the next thing I want to do, as long as I've got my Pacific Point out, is let's do a little bit of stamping. And I'm going to start by stamping the sailboat. So this is the mast and the hull of the sailboat. So I'm just going to stamp that in Pacific Point. And then we're going to end up punching that out with our punch. And while I've got the Pacific Point, I have just these little squares of the Pacific Point. Just I use the stitched rectangles die for this too, and it's the perfect size for our sentiment, which is let your dreams set sail. And I'm just going to stamp that right in the middle. Actually, I'm going to stamp it more towards the top because we're going to add a little bit of that twine at the bottom. So that's all set. And then on the inside, I'm just going to stamp, hope it's your best day ever. And we'll do that in Pacific Point too. So let me pull out the inside panel and ink that up in Pacific Point. Just like that. All right. Let's cut out our sailboat. And then I think we'll be ready for some assembly. All right, so we're gonna take our punch and open it up. And then I'm going to put it in here and line up. You can see I'm lining up. I didn't leave myself much room to, on the outside to hold it. So let's see how well I can get this lined up. So we have just the white border around all of it. I think that's pretty good. And we'll punch that. Now, because I used the white, I also have my 2 white sails, right? So that's it. I've got the whole sailboat right there. All right. So let's do some assembly. Let's start by finishing off our little sentiment. And I'm going to take some seal across the bottom on the back. And then I'm going to take this Twine Essentials, this Baker Twine Essentials, in this nice color. So it kind of looks like a little bit like rope, right? So I'm just going to wrap that around 3 times. Okay, and then leave a bit of a tail so I can just tie it into a knot. So we'll just clip that. And then we'll tie a little knot here. Okay, and we'll trim off the ends. And then we'll just see if we like, does it need to be fixed or moved at all? It's pretty good, I think. We're not going to mess with it too much. All right, and then we're just going to adhere it right here to our little scrap of Pacific Point to kind of frame that sentiment up. Okay. Okay, one thing we have to do still is we need to emboss this white piece, right? So we're going to go back to our great big machine. Let me pull it out one last time. It's super handy. And I don't need the magnetic plate this time. So I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm missing, hold on. I think I'm missing, oh, there it is, it's on the bottom. I'm missing one of my clear plates. There we go. So we're going to take this embossing folder. This is the gingham embossing folder. And we're going to put our, I want to make sure which side, this side. And we're going to line it up. They have a little bit, I don't know if you can see, a little bit of a black line to make sure that you line it up straight when you put it inside your embossing folder. So I think that looks pretty good. We're going to set it through with the fold side going through first. And just send it through this way. And then we're going to get a really beautiful gingham pattern on our white cardstock, which I think really adds to it. Okay. What do you think? Looks good, right? Isn't that pretty? All right, let's assemble. So for our layers, first let's put the inside in because that's super easy, right? We'll knock that out right away. Keep knocking my card over. Hope it's your best day ever. Okay. Next, we're going to put this layer on. No, I didn't pop that up. That's all flat. Okay, I was wondering if I popped anything up, but I did not. I probably went a little bit high on the horizon, but that's okay. All right, now I'm gonna see where everything's gonna fall on here. This is gonna frame this out, and I'm gonna put my sailboat right about here, okay? Which means I can put my birds right here. So let me get my birds and stamp those in Memento. So we'll put a few more birds right there in the background. And then the last thing I want to stamp is I told you about that little shadow stamp, which looks really cute. So it just kind of shadows the sailboat, but we want to stamp that on before we put the white card down, right? So I'm going to move this first so I can see about where I want it. And I'm just going to ink it up, and it's going to go just about right here. Just like that. Okay. Now we can go ahead and adhere our white. I'm going to go all the way around the edges on this, and maybe a little bit towards the center, so it's stuck down really good. Make it super sticky so it sticks to your fingers too. And we'll center that right on our card, like that. Okay, now we're ready to adhere our sailboat, and we'll go back to our glue pen. And we're going to put this piece down first, kind of right above where we put the shadow. And then we have our sails to put on. So let's do, we've got the mainsail. That we'll put right there. And then the jib is going to go right there. Okay, it looks like I measured. I'm just a little bit off because I'm a little bit wider on the sides, huh? I don't think I measured that quite right. And I think actually the one that's not quite right is the blue. And I noticed that on the inside too. So I might, when we're finished, I'm just going to trim off just a little bit of my blue because I obviously measured wrong. Or you could leave it like this, but it won't fit in the envelope that way. So I need to trim it. All right, a couple dimensionals on the back of this, and then we're going to be done with this card. And I should probably, I'm actually going to trim it now before I pop that up, because then it's going to be harder to trim it once something's popped up on the card. So we'll just take a little bit off of that. I don't usually do that. I'm usually pretty good with my measurements. All right, so this is going to be 5.5. Now we've got a perfect 5.5. All fixed. Have you guys seen this trimmer before? This is awesome. I've had a lot of trimmers. I still have a lot of trimmers. I have a great big one that I use, but I like this one because it has the trimmer, and then it has this for scoring, and I use this for scoring all the time, which is why I got the Stampin' Up one, is because of the scoring tool that's built into your trimmer. And I use that all the time. All right, sentiment here. And that's it. Oh, you know what? We're going to add a little bit of Wink of Stella, just to add a little bit of glittery sheen to our sails. So I'm just going to brush that on. Glitter on sails, you say? Why not? We need a little bit of sheen. We need to dress it up a little bit. Fun, right? It just adds a little something to it. Let me see if you can see the sheen that it gets from there. Okay, so that is it. That is our 4th card. I hope you enjoyed these cards. Let me just go through a couple little things. First of all, let me just show you the cards again that we made tonight. We had our little beachy scene card, Then we had our sunset card. We had our palm tree cards. And then we did our sailboat cards. If you would like the measurements, you can email me. I'd be happy to send you these measurement and supply sheets that have the pictures. It has everything we used and all of the measurements on it. If you would like to place an order with me, I will be happy to send you the make and takes for this for free. That means I pre-cut all the cardstock for you. I send you all the cardstock. I send you the embellishments to go on it. I can't send you the stamp, so you would need the stamp set. But, you know, that could be part of your $35 order is the stamp, 1 or 2 of the stamp sets, and then I'll send you the supplies to make 1 of each of these cards. So if you want to do that, I'll put the links up on my Facebook and my YouTube, so you could just click on the link. You have to use the host code, which is the YTZK2G7N, and that will be linked as well. Just a couple of reminders. Paper pumpkin, I always like to tell you about. And then I'm going to show you what cards we're going to make next week, because I have fun cards for next week too. This is Pick of the Crop. This is the next paper pumpkin that's coming out. It's going to come with a little tiny canvas bag that you can decorate. So that's going to be really fun, kind of like a farmer's market type thing. This is the paper pumpkin that I received from last month. It came actually Tuesday, but I didn't pick it up until after my live from the mailbox. But as you know, I've showed you the paper pumpkin kits before. It comes with different adhesives. This time, tear and tape. It came with a stamp pad, a little basic grade Stampin' Spot, some of the in-color embellishments. This month's kit was in colors. And so these are some of the cards. It made 2 cards in each color, right? Of the new in colors, the 5. So it makes 10 of these cards. And these I pretty much just made according to the directions that they gave me. So those are those 5 cards. And then I just made a couple cards on my own, just as kind of alternatives. And this one I just added this die set that I have to make this card here. So lots of different cards you can make with these kits. It's a good way to get started. It's really fun. It has everything you need in the kit to get started. Cards, envelopes, all the little fun things. So if you're interested in subscribing to Paper Pumpkin, I'll put that link as well. And again, it's going to be Pick of the Crop. You have till the 10th to order that. I think we've already talked about the ordering special this month, which is the In Colors ordering special. If you want to join Stampin' Up, it's $99. You get $65 worth of product. You get $125 worth of product that you pick for $99. And then in addition, they're throwing in all the extra in colors stuff, which is the 5 in color stamp pads. You get a pack of the in color paper, and then you get the designer series paper in colors. And then you also get this really nice, what do you call it, grid paper in colors as well. So that's like $65 worth of product right there, in addition to the other stuff you get. So it's a good deal. I'll put the link for that as well. And then lastly, let me just show you the cards that we're going to make next week. We're using their new butterfly bundle, which is lots of fun, cute, colorful papers. So we'll make a thank you card. I've got an all the love card, which is really cute. This is going to be a gatefold card, sending good vibes, another butterfly card, and then we'll do I've got some gummy butterflies. We'll do a little gift bag as well. So I hope you can join me next week. Thank you for joining me this week. I hope you had fun, and have a very nice Memorial Day weekend. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.